Welcome.
Hello. Gosh, there's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people, Alex.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't quite sure a couple of weeks ago whether there was going to be about 50 people, and then suddenly it ballooned and we sold out and there was 300 people coming, and we were a bit surprised.
Yeah. It was wonderful as Onezero entrepreneurs to get that. It was slightly terrifying as Onezero event producers, but hopefully we're all going to have a great night.
I should say, there is, after we've talked, there's loads of amazing food. The bar is free, so please enjoy yourselves. Before we start, I want to say some thanks. There's loads of people who've helped us to get this together this evening. On the food and drinks, Gum Brewery, who've got an amazing tap room you should check out. You're drinking their beer. We've got Only With Love, who've just opened their morning cafe as well, which also is amazing. And food and wine from Fattoria La Viala, which is an amazing farm in Italy that if you haven't checked them out, you can order their food and wine online, and it's amazing.
We've also had incredible creative and brand and design support. You can see the evidence of it all around you. Wonderful creative team at Horse's Mouth, a local creative branding studio. Illustrations from Beep Studio, more illustration and design from Rococo, artifact cards from Smithery, which you can use to create with the community dream map. Just a ton of creative input to help us launch this company today.
And of course, we just heard from Jonathan, huge thanks to Human Nature for hosting us. And also, there's actually loads of people who volunteered to put this evening on. So we're really, really grateful. Lots of young people, welcoming people on the door and that sort of stuff. So thanks very much, guys. And also to the Onezero team, who've worked really, really hard to get us to this point. So we're really, again, start with the gratefuls.
And last but not least, last thank you, and then we'll move on.
The most important one, probably.
Yeah, is absolutely. To our families, everyone who in our families has had to put up with the late nights and the grumpy mornings. It's been a pretty intense few months as we've gotten this thing off the ground. And so, yeah, just a huge heartfelt thanks to all of you.
So we thought we should just give you a bit of context of who we are and why we're doing this. Alex and I have come from really different backgrounds, and we just thought we'd give you a few moments on our backgrounds. For me, I first became aware of the climate change issue in the sort of mid-90s, and along with my wife who's here, Pippa, we set about trying to stop the machine, and this is actually the tree I was evicted from on an open cast mine site in the early 90s. We spent about 2 years living on road protests. And I think it's an amazing thing to do, but of course, protesting, you always lose. So I guess what happened for me then was, okay, what comes next? How do you get people to go with you on this journey? So next I set about setting up companies that tried to build positive solutions. The first one in Brighton, this was my first solar panel. I think Simon, who was with me then, is in the room. We failed on that one as well. People thought I was completely mad. Trying to set up a community-owned energy company in Brighton in sort of 99, whatever it was. I did have success with a company called Southern Solar, which I grew for many years, about 15 years, and also had success finally once Transition Town Lewes launched with Avesco, and some of my fellow Avesco directors are in the room. And we had another packed launch in the town hall with about 300 people about, 15 years ago now, where we told people we were going to build a power station that we could all own in our community, and we did it, which was the roof of Harvey's Brewery. And I'm pleased to say Avesco's gone on to do loads of amazing projects across the community and continues to do so. But through all that, I found myself protesting again. The government, Jonathan's already talked about it, they started amazing schemes to support renewables and then closed them. I ended up being the guy with the minister on the news, that sort of stuff, fighting them in the High Court. And of course, we lost again. As Jonathan said, we lost 5,000 companies over that. 5,000 functioning solar companies all across the country in just 6 weeks because of government action. But the mad thing is, we've actually succeeded. So solar and wind have grown hugely across the UK, and you probably can't see the numbers, but that particular moment, there was over 60% of the UK's power, the entire grid coming from the sun, and that happens quite regularly throughout the year now. So in 15 years, we've totally changed the way energy is produced in this country. And the last role I've been doing, I've been running a huge fleet of solar and wind projects across the UK and Europe. And I guess I got to the point where I've realised that we can't solve this with large-scale stuff alone. We've got to basically go back to the start and try and fix things at source, i.e. reduce demand. So I'll hand on now to Alex to tell you a bit of his story.
And now for something completely different. So while Howard was doing all of those amazing, inspiring, climate-aware things, I was being a game designer. I was running a studio in London, setting up games and events and festivals and installations, trying to bring gaming and play to cultural spaces like the South Bank Centre. I got to invent games, I had a great team, it was a very creative, very fulfilling way of being. Gradually that went from the sort of artistic space into more of the kind of product-oriented and technology-driven space, building things that got picked up by companies like Apple and retailed all around the world. And yeah, following these creative pathways into experimenting with technologies like augmented reality and voice recognition and custom hardware. Was really lucky to kind of follow that path to a point where the game studio I founded got acquired by this big technology company called Niantic, who make an augmented reality game called Pokemon Go. Felt pretty pleased with myself, working on some very cool stuff. Oh yeah, I'm a head of a studio actually. Oh, and at the same time as that was in my kind of life, there was this other thing happening. This physical sense, this felt sense that this isn't right. I'm not doing the right things. I am not working in the right way. The awareness of the climate emergency, the call of nature, this kind of tap on the shoulder that actually you've got useful skills and you could be doing something useful with them, gradually became too loud for me to ignore. So I left that job and spent a couple of years trying to answer this question. What do augmented reality game designers do in a climate emergency? To which there is not an obvious answer. You can't invent a new kind of concrete. It's unlikely that you're going to influence policy at a COP. Aviation fuel, no, can't do any of those things. Trying to figure out an answer to that question has taken me a couple of years. It's taken a lot of cups of tea with great people, a lot of listening to experts, a lot of sitting under trees, and one particularly fateful cup of tea about a year ago with this man, Howard. And now, here we are.
So here we are.
A renewable energy expert. Oh, I wasn't expecting woos. That's nice.
We've got two. That's good. Let's lap it up.
Yeah.
And an augmented reality games designer. What on earth do they do together in the climate crisis?
Let's find out.
So what we're going to try and do is deliver home energy transformation at speed and scale. Now, why at speed and scale? So just to give you context, there's a solar boom going on again. So actually at the moment, there's more solar being installed than there has been for about 10 years. And how long do you think it would take us to do all the homes that can have solar at the rate we're going today? 30 years? Any hands for 30 years? No, so it's 120 years to do all the homes in the UK. So given this decade has to be the decisive decade, we don't think that's going fast enough. And when you look at something like heat pumps and insulation, it's even slower. Heat pumps, we reckon 600 years to do the UK's housing stock. So we have to change the speed. So that's what we're trying to do, basically, is change the speed and scale of this market to get loads more people accessing home energy transformations.
So what does that actually mean? We're going to explain what we're going to do a couple of times over the course of the presentation, so don't worry if this doesn't all go in first time. We're going to use software, data, and the collective intelligence, the wisdom of the crowd, to determine what's the right bundle of measures for the right set of houses at the best cost. You probably heard in the media and in general conversation, people talk about the UK's housing stock as hard to retrofit. And that is, in some cases, really true. If you live in a 9th century abbey, going to be hard.
Or a Victorian house even.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a 9th century abbey. But there are actually an awful lot of homes, by our count, at least 7 million, where there's a package of measures which can be done really quickly, quite straightforwardly. And we should really be getting after those.
And don't we think there's 25,000 homes just in this district that could be done easily?
Yeah.
25,000 homes that we could be doing now really easily.
And we're going to deliver those with trusted local tradespeople. So we're building a kind of platform that can help tradespeople with different skills, roofers, electricians, and so on, work together to coordinate and install these bundles. We're going to make the process of delivery safe, easy to understand and approve if you're the homeowner. And we're going to then, around that process, train, support, and mentor tradespeople so we can improve their skills, bring new people into the sector, and meet growing demand. And lastly, decided on community. We're going one community at a time, one street at a time. We're starting here in Lewes. I'm going to be inviting some of you to become street leads with me tonight. And we're going to develop tools to help neighbours visualize their homes as energy systems, understand the impact of their collaborative endeavour, and take action. Ultimately, what this becomes is a kind of self-service process that connects communities with tradespeople all over the UK and hopefully beyond. So that's the big picture, and now I'm going to hand back over to Howard to tell us why now.
Well, I mean, I probably don't need to say why now for many people in the room. You know, the truth of the moment in terms of climate is starker than we thought it would be 20 years ago. You know, seeing half the world burning and the rest of it flooding all at once, you know, it's pretty shocking, isn't it? You know, so we know that we need to change this now much faster than we have been. And unless we really coordinate ourselves, that's not going to happen. So I guess what gives me a lot of hope right now is that, you know, 20, 30 years ago when we were climate protesters in trees, there was, you know, a few thousand of us across the country. And now there's a massive movement. There's millions of people who care about this all across the country, all across the world, you know, and I think people really want change. But what they don't have is the pathways to practically take the action. And that's what we're trying to produce here. Yeah, so national politics is not solving this. I think there's some exciting stuff going on in local politics, but national politics, you know, we're going backwards. We're approving oil fields and we're cutting schemes that should be supporting this stuff. So now is the moment for a movement to take practical action. You know, not just protesting, but actually fixing stuff. And that's what we're really trying to do here is how can you fuse that with a business that makes things better for everyone, basically. So another reason why now is the moment is the numbers stack up. I'm not just talking about British Gas's numbers stacking up, which obviously do, but obviously bills have increased massively in the last 2 years, and it's been, you know, shocking and painful for many people in our communities. Yeah, and gallingly, alongside that, big energy profits are hugely up. You know, to me, that's just an opportunity. You know, there's money that should be staying in our communities, coming back into our communities. And the other thing is that that predicted cost drop of solar has happened. It's now pretty much the cheapest form of energy generation you can get anywhere in the world. That's also happened with batteries, and you've got Give Energy in the room, who are award-winning battery manufacturer that we've teamed up with for this launch. You know, so it makes massive financial sense to an individual to do this on their home right now. So why shouldn't we make it possible for them, basically? And I guess for me, you know, I think the conditions are right for change to happen fast at this point. So those cost reductions that I talked about, you know, I bought my first solar panel in '99. It was £800 for an 80-watt panel. Now we can buy a 420-watt panel for £100, you know. So things have massively changed. It makes it really compelling to do this. What is also happening in the background is that the digitization of energy is underway. You know, so traditionally you've had big power stations in the center, you all pay the bill. What we're moving to is a distributed energy system where you're all part of it. You become a generator, you trade power out of your house potentially, and you're connected to your neighbors, sharing power with them. So the future of energy is also really unpredictable. We've seen these massive fluctuations in price because of things like the war in Ukraine. It's likely those events will keep continuing. You know, so we're going to have instability in the cost of fossil fuel. And we also have price fluctuation caused by the high amounts of renewable energy generation on the grid. So the more communities can do to take action to control the production and storage of energy in their own homes and their own businesses, the more insulated they're going to be, the more successful they're going to be in this volatile future. So we want to tip energy on its head, the energy system on its head. We want to put homes at the center of that. That starts with the simple stuff. You know, you've got the hemp insulation there. So reduce demand first, basically, with simple measures like that. If we did 50 homes in the next few months, with that hemp insulation, we'd actually store 10 tons of carbon in people's homes as well. So we can actually suck carbon out of the air by doing this. Hey, wouldn't that be a good idea? So we want homes to be able to store and generate their own power and then profit from it, basically, by being joined together as what we call a virtual power plant. So at the moment, you've got a big power plant sat somewhere that's owned by a utility. We're going to create a power plant that we all own, spread across all our homes. That's the vision we're working on.
Awesome. So that's the big picture. That's the dream. That's where we want to head. But we're a startup. We are a small team. We haven't raised money yet, and we are putting this out there with kind of everything we've got, but in the way that we can try to do it, to make it happen, to get started. It's an experiment. We're going to be trying stuff. We're going to be making mistakes. We're going to be doing that in a very public way, like this. The pilot is going to run in Lewes and the Lewes district between now and the end of this year. So that's October to December 2023. What we've first done is identified those houses, those 25,000 houses in that area. We've used open data and the Google Solar API to identify the homes that are ready for a package of retrofit measures. They're typically built after 1930 with a roughly southeast or west facing roof, minimal shading, and consistent housing types. So if you think about places in Lewes like the Landport, the Morling, the Winterbourne, and the Neville Estates, and nearby residential areas like Kingston and Ringmer, those houses, that's where we're headed first.
Sweet spot.
And what we're going to offer to those houses is the opportunity to get a pre-packaged, pre-designed bundle of measures. So if you go to onezeroenergy.com, which wasn't the URL this morning, but is now, because that's what running a startup is like, onezeroenergy.com, you can actually put your address in and find out the type of bundle that's suitable for you. It comes with the following elements. Some solar panels. Those are going to be supplied by our partners at Trina and then fitted to your roof with the amazing Schletter roof system, which can be seen over here. A Give Energy battery, a really fantastic award-winning British design piece of kit with a long warranty and the ability to be controlled from the cloud, very important for the things that we want to do. A package of cavity and loft insulation measures to make your home heat pump ready. And that's it. And that's the only package really that we're offering. We offer it in kind of different configurations depending on what you need. So you could, for example, just get a battery upgrade for your solar panels if you've just got solar and no battery. You might not need the insulation. But it's only those options. And it's only those hardware types. And the reason for that is we're trying to make this really simple to deliver. And we're really trying to drive the cost of the design and the installation down as much as we possibly can. Bespoke retrofit gets into a very big, messy, complicated process, and the costs can escalate to more than £50,000.
Oh, hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. So we're trying to do this for a lot less. The final thing about your quote when you get it is it'll be broken down into 3 elements: the hardware and materials costs, the fees that will go to local tradespeople, and the Onezero platform fee for design, coordination, and QA. We want you to see how much of the money goes into businesses in your area. So, to be really clear, to get major carbonisation done, we've got to get the gas boilers out. We want to start offering this as soon as we can, but we're not starting there now. We're starting with what we believe is a much more of a no-regret package of measures that's much lower cost, but we are aiming to leave homes heat pump ready.
And we hope to be able to deliver the whole package, solar, battery, insulation and heat pumps for around £15,000 for your average 3-bed house, which we think is substantially less than you'd get it if you went to the different companies to try and buy those things individually. Because we think that makes it really, really affordable and financeable. Anyway.
That's great.
Carry on.
No, thank you for picking me up on that. And it's over to you for trade.
Oh, it's over to me.
Oh, no, wait, it's not. Sorry, there we go.
Come on. It is over to me.
It is over to you. Sorry.
It's confusing doing this, I tell you. We're going there. So obviously, how does this all work financially? So some people, for those people that can afford it, it's a no-brainer probably to do it. It's much better than having your money sat in the bank right now. I've talked about, we're trying to get this total package cost down to around £15,000. We think that's a huge improvement on what you'd pay now. To be clear, going out at the moment with the solar and insulation, I think we're looking at about £7,000 or £8,000. But again, go on the website. We've designed these systems already. You can find out if you live in one of our target houses, basically. It will actually tell you straight off. And then we'll follow up on that with a sort of human process. So if you don't have the money, that's not a problem as well. So we're looking at a range of options. So already people like Nationwide. So does anyone in the room have a Nationwide mortgage? You don't have to show. No one. Okay, that's fine.
There were a few.
Oh, well, there. Sorry, I can't see it. It's a bit dark. So Nationwide already offer you £15,000 upgrade to your mortgage, 0 interest.
For green measures. For
green measures. So this fits perfectly with what we're talking about. We think there'll be a lot more of those mortgage offers because, again, if you can link it to your mortgage, it's all done and dusted. But there's also other finance options. There's various different things we can do to help you do this without the capital. So what we're looking to do is deliver this stuff with no capital down for those people that need that, with a saving from month one. That's the mission, basically. So we'll work together with you to find the right package for you. And the more people we get who need financing, in some ways the better, because then we can go out to a finance provider and actually coordinate a bunch of different finance at once. And of course, we can get a better deal. It's the same with all the suppliers, It's all about bringing the cost down. So just to talk about how we deliver this. So we've already got an initial team of tradespeople that we've been working with this last few months. We've been doing some sort of first installations with them. Because right now there's a huge shortage of people to do this work. If you go to one of the many brilliant solar companies or other companies that are out there, you may end up with a 6-month lead time to get your system installed. So we want to flip that on its head because we know that loads, from our sort of initial research, we know that loads of the local tradespeople would love to do this stuff. There's so many barriers, frankly. There's all this different red tape and additional work and qualifications, all different stuff that they're going to have to do to be able to do this stuff. So we're trying to take that away. We want the local tradespeople to be our local heroes, effectively. So we're going to provide them with support, mentoring, training, so that they can do this, make it easy for them, basically, and keep a load of this income locally in the process. I'll hand back to you.
So the last piece, and this is why it was so important to start with an event like this and to get everyone in the room and to be here and to be with you all, is this phrase, decided on in community. This is, I guess, where my game design stuff flows into a very different form. How do we create pathways to participation? How do people with different levels of knowledge and understanding and skills and, frankly, appetite for getting their heads around the complicated, messy space of home energy party up, band together, and make change in efficient ways? So you've hopefully seen there are a couple of games dotted around. There's a booklet on the table. There's a very silly game about heat pumps. There's a game inside called the Street Lead RPG. And these are prototypes for ways of engaging together as a community to decide on home energy upgrades. This is where I'm inviting everyone in the room to join this idea of maybe some of you share this fire in a belly that I've got, and you might be willing to be a person called a street lead. That's the person who convenes their neighbours for some kind of deliberative process about whether upgrading their homes with energy-saving tech is the right thing for them. And if that's a thing that you might be interested in, I would really love to chat to you tonight. There's a lot of potential benefits to doing it together in your street. Reduced waste, better conditions for tradespeople, lower costs, fewer van miles. We'll explore this as we go through the pilot together. We don't really have a lot of data yet because we haven't done it like this yet, but we will share that as we move through the pilot.
The other thing we really want to do during this process is track our collective impact, because I think it's easy to feel quite lonely. Again, been involved with thousands of solar projects, but I've never seen it all drawn together in one display, let's say. We think that it would be really powerful as we go through the community delivering these systems to actually display that data. How much power are we generating across all our houses now? How independent have we been from the grid since we did this? So like the pilot houses, we think they've achieved 80% grid independence since we installed their systems. So that means they've only imported 20% of what they were importing from the grid before. We'd like to show that. And we'd also, can we create the 100 kilowatt hero? That's the question that I want to answer. So, could we, in this next few months, get our first tradesperson to have a nice sew-on badge that says, yeah, I've delivered 100 kilowatts of solar? Or could we get a street lead to say, yeah, I led the process in my street that got this done?
Howard's the only person in the room with a 1 gigawatt badge. We haven't designed that one yet. But what it is in my head is like sort of kernel epaulets, but they're all little actual solar panels with then some kind of piping that's light up that kind of went in from the sun.
Is that for parties?
Yeah. That's you get that later.
When I'm DJing later
on. But yeah, that'd be great.
Anyway,
so just to wrap up, we wanted to offer this whole plan, this crazy ambitious plan, to the community and kind of ask you to give us the right to show up to deliver this in your community. So partly that's about saying what we want to do, but it's also about saying how are we going to do it. So these commitments will be published on our website next week. You can hold us accountable to these, and this feels important as part of how we show up today.
Yeah, the first one obviously is enable people to do it, take action, and benefit from it, because there's an opportunity for everyone to benefit here. So let's make that happen.
The second is we want to make this easy and friendly and fun and delightful, but mostly easy. If you have tried to get your head around your whole house's energy system, it's tough. There's a lot of different things going on. There's a lot of different people who have very strong opinions who may or may not be telling you the truth. We want to try to demystify and make that as straightforward as possible. And that's a mission for us at every stage and in the way that we communicate with you. And the last one, which I think we've sort of been trying to evidence, is build transparently in community. We will publish information about how we're doing. We'll publish information about what's working, what isn't working. We'll share that. We'll share our designs. We'll try to inspire this happening in other places. And yeah, be open and listen. And so, yeah, these are the things that we want you to hold us accountable for.
There is one more.
Oh, yeah, no, there is
one more. Unless it's bonfire, no rockets.
No rockets. We promise at no point will there be rockets. If you see us buying a rocket, you can strap us to it and fire it to a location of your choice.
So, the asks.
Yes. So, as we mentioned, there is an awful lot of delicious free wine and beer and soft drinks and kombucha, thanks to our sponsors. There's delicious food that's about to sweep out. So the first thing is eat and drink and enjoy those and have a good time. But there's a few things that we would really love you to do tonight. So the first is chat to us if you feel like that idea of being a street lead might be a thing that you would be just curious about doing. Just to see, not to say for sure, but just to investigate and maybe come up with what would make it work for you. So there's a few people in the room who are going to be taking some street lead sign-ups. So Rachel here at the front. I will be, obviously. And Howard F. is in the room somewhere. Are you in the room, Howard F? Wave. You are? Yes, he's there in the middle. Right. Okay, so you can see any of those people. Howard, who can they talk to about joining our tradesperson?
Yeah, so if you are a tradesperson or if you know tradespeople you'd recommend and you'd like to get them involved with this, we'd love to hear from you. So you can talk to me, or where's Dave, Robin? There, so Dave and Robin. Who else? Did I say anyone else?
Oh, Grassy's behind the bar.
Grassy, of course.
Yeah.
Dave, Robin and Grassy, so they're around. So if there's tradespeople you can think of who you think would want to get involved with this, just talk to us.
Electricians you trust, roofers who did a great job, we'd love to know.
Exactly.
And then we should have changed this.
Yeah.
Sign up, not at Onezero.energy,
but it probably will be
but at OnezeroEnergy.com. That's OnezeroEnergy.com. You can put in your postcode, register your property, sign up for a house survey, and then we will be in touch in the next week or so. That is plastered on bits of white gaffer tape all over the posters, so you can't miss it. I'll just say it one more time, onezeroenergy.com. And the last thing we'd like you to do is post about Onezero on social media, tag us in. We're on Instagram with onezero.energy.
Help us create a buzz, please. We
Yes.
really appreciate it.
And last but not least,
And tell your friends. So if there's someone you think lives in one of those houses in this community, please let them know what we're trying to do. We want to help them be part of this.
amazing.
So thank you so much for listening to us. It's an absolute pleasure to have so many people here giving us their time. We hope you've enjoyed hearing about what we're doing, and we look forward to sharing food and wine and beer and maybe some dancing. And have a lovely evening. Thanks so much.
Thank you.